So in 2020, during the lockdown, I think it was a time where personally I sort of did a lot of reflection.
Worldwide anxiety as the coronavirus spreads across the globe.
Of course, we weren't working, so there was time to think about the future, what one wanted to do, some of the creative ideas that we had been playing around with at the time. But around that time, I listened to a talk by a guy called Shaka Senghor. Shaka is an ex-convict. He was put in prison for murder. And when Shaka got into prison, he did a lot of reading. Eventually, he came out on probation and he became a New York Times bestseller. And one of the things he said during his talk, Oprah made him come and give a talk to her audience, was that society wastes people. And that made me start thinking, society wastes people. What he was saying was that, you can't be more creative than people in prison. They used to invent all kinds of things. But these are people that society has decided that we don't want them to be part of society. We understand they've done something wrong. But I thought about the deaf community, because I have a niece who's deaf, who has studied in the States. She's now got her master's in accounting. And I thought about her and I thought about what he said about how society wastes people. And I said to myself, we're wasting these individuals. The fact that they're deaf doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing things or being somebody and contributing, but more importantly, being able to take care of themselves. Because imagine if you are smart, you have a brain or you have a gift, and society has been created in a way that you are excluded from further education, you're excluded from training, from skills, because nobody really thinks about the deaf community. Even if you look at our films, we don't bother with the caption all the time, So they are excluded from a lot of things. So I thought, why don't I start this foundation? Even though we were in the middle of a pandemic, I just feel like God still gave visions and still said, don't let this stop you, keep moving, keep doing stuff. And so we set up the foundation formally, officially. We were able to register it, everything went through, and that was pretty amazing. We decided that we're going to go ahead with the summer camp. That's one of the tasks that we set ourselves, that every year we would pick a number of deaf children from a deaf school and we would expose them to different skills training. So the idea is that it would be like a 3-week summer camp, just exposing them to different things, just for them to also discover where their gifts lie, where their passions lie, and to also see if at some point in the future they can follow those particular career paths. So we started summer camp on the 9th of August. We did art, we did culinary arts, we did fashion, we did STEM, we did some civic education, we did what we call like empowerment hours. So in those hours we use that for the kids to express themselves, talk about things that bother them, how they feel. So we did those in the evening. So the evenings were more informal sessions, whereas the day was a more structured, approach. We also did agriculture. We had a small vegetable patch. And then we also had excursions. The first weekend, they went to the Cape Coast Castle.
We were trying to go to the castle and people were watching them weirdly. We were not allowed to enter because they were different. We had to voice out before we were allowed to go inside. And I looked at myself and I told myself that if I get there one day, I pray I don't become like this. Because it will be funny that we are all like that some way, somehow. This is a great opportunity for me to be part of this project and learn from them and then learn through this process.
The second weekend they came to Accra. Unfortunately, one of the hotels that we're trying to get them to go and look at the art there, they were not allowed to enter the premises, which again emphasized how as a society we've decided that even a public space on government land, these kids in a government vehicle were denied access by security. And even the week before, they went to one of the historical sites and they wouldn't assign them with a tour guide. It's like, wait, we're coming. So it also made us recognize, even though not being deaf, it's difficult for me to say I know how they feel. But if even as we are with our faculties, sometimes you feel rejected. Imagine when as a child or a teenager, you are not only rejected, but you're also excluded from a lot of things because you have no hearing.
So week 2 was about art workshop and agric, and then abakosem. So we taught the kids skills in art, and I like the way their interests were like they were willing to learn even though it was difficult. They were willing to, you know, follow whatever rules or whatever ideas we have to them. They accepted it nicely. It was amazing learning new things from the kids. I was supposed to talk and then the interpreter will sign. I'm someone who talks very fast, so I easily forget myself when I'll start talking. That is the process of and then I have to calm and then remember that they are special children. They are not just any other children. So I needed to take my time. So I've learned the process of taking my time to talk. Even signing, learning how to sign, to communicate with them. And they taught me that sometimes when I speak and I do facial expression when communicating with them without the sign language, they understand what I'm telling them. So I learned how to even move with my face, my body.
We live in a culture where people with disabilities are not given their fair share of resources.
They have their beautiful graduation on the 28th of August, and we gave everybody an award. We made sure that everybody got an award for something, because you know, I always think about speech and prize giving day as a very difficult day for some children because not everybody gets a prize. And you know, sometimes the parents even stop bothering to come because what's the point? You don't get any prizes. We wanted each of them to go away feeling that they have something that they can build on. So we're not going to give 6 prizes and leave 4. We gave everybody, because everybody had something unique about them.
So this is the Joyce Abebio Award, and it goes to Master Francis Annan for being the overall best student in fashion. Yeah. A round of applause for Master Annan.
One of the things they asked, which was a bit touching, was that, what are you going to do with us? Is this it? And that's the big question. Like, is this it? Like, for a lot of them, when they finish senior high, this is it. We have no plan as a society for them to continue. We cannot seem to afford interpreters to be with them in school. But just this year, we had our first deaf lawyer graduate from the University of Ghana. So that tells you that if the resources are put in place, these children could become upstanding, contributing citizens, so that as a society, we don't have a whole segment of people that we are wasting, or we've decided that because of this or that reason, they are not capable of contributing or adding to the country's human wealth. In a nutshell, that was kind of like the core purpose of the summer camp, to pull out their gifts and their skills, and to have 10 children who will go back to school and share their experiences with their mates and become almost like ambassadors and become like a voice for their friends, because the whole idea also is to build their confidence so that they are able to be like the spokesperson or spokespeople for the deaf community, and they're able to sort of build a deaf community that is also supportive of each other because they are special. So it's important that they also have a community and give each other that support that they need, you know, in order to keep going and to be able to excel.
The program has been very successful. Our children are learning, and we can see the impact that the program is having on their lives. The deaf learn by doing a lot of practicals. When they do that, they learn better. So I would say the program has been very successful, and we want this program to continue, not just to end this time, but to continue. And we are also asking that a lot of people should come and support the Most Deaf Foundation, to come on board and to support them, because we need a lot of the children to come on board.
So following up with the summer camp, one of the things we've decided to do is to set up an offshoot of the foundation called Most Deaf Consults. And Most Deaf Consults will be looking at how we can create job opportunities and internships and skills training for the deaf community, particularly those who finished senior high school and have not been able to get into university. So we are in the process of structuring that. We're looking at, God willing, January next year, starting the service. One of the big goals we have, called a big audacious dream, is that we'll have like a campus, and that campus will have different departments that allow the children to study IT, agric, fashion, and all the different things that we've handled within the summer camp. So I will say that the big goal for us in the long term is to have a campus and a space that is specifically designed for their convenience, their development, and their growth. And we're hoping that, with time, it's something that we can at least start small and then at some point complete. So that would be the big ultimate goal that we have as a foundation.
This has been a very great opportunity for me when Auntie Franca called me and told me about this project, because I was already working on a project called Hand Statements, and I was trying to voice out to people about how the hand is very important to us as human beings. So it was a very great collaboration with Most Deaf, Auntie Franca and Mr. Albert, the two sponsors I know. And I pray that God will continue to bless them and give them more strength to continue this journey that they started. That I know the road will not be easy, but it will be easier by God's grace. They will get good team to work with, and this will be very great because it is a history. Their first exhibition they created with the kids, telling them about our history, about the world, how slavery happened, and how they can acquire skills when they complete school, when they don't have money to go to university. This is a skill you can do. I think it's a great opportunity for each and every one here, and even for me. So I thank Auntie Franca and Mr. Albert for this opportunity.
I think in the last few weeks, just looking at how as a society we don't seem to have empathy for people with disability. We always seem to think of people with disability as, they are begging by the roadside, but there are people who want to do something with their lives. They want to be somebody. They are smart, they are intelligent, they are creative, and they want to be given the opportunity to contribute. Most of the deaf children start school at age 4. The playground is not one that is exciting. So you imagine that a child from age 4 up until 19 or 18 is in a sort of a boarding facility. We have to create a space that's exciting and makes a child enjoy being in that space, because most 4-year-olds are at home with their parents, playing around or doing fun stuff. So, again, you want citizenry to be more considerate of the deaf community, but you also want government and those in authority and those who have the means to see how we can support them to make them also feel that they are a part, and they are a part of our communities. They are part of our families. They are citizens of this country who also deserve the right to be the best that they want to be. And we need to recognize that everybody comes with something that God gives them to bring and make a difference to the world. And if we have a whole a group of people that we decided that because they have the situation they cannot contribute, then we may be losing out on some magnificent invention or some amazing individual who will come and make a difference to their community, their family, to the country, and maybe even globally. So we think that parents should not hesitate to invest in their children's education, and make them feel that they have worth. Because I think for every child that's very important, that sense of worth.